Well, you are listening to Millennial Meets Gen Z 90's edition, the podcast where one of us grew up with the 90's, surrounded by the movies, shows, and pop culture that helped shape everything, and the other is discovering it for the first time. I'm Allison, the Millennial.
I'm Hannah, the Gen Z.
And of course, each week we go back and revisit a piece of 90's culture, looking at it from both perspectives, what it meant then, how it holds up now. So, whether you grew up with this or you're seeing it for the first time right along with us, let's rewind. So, our
Yeah.
movie this week is Hannah, do you want to introduce what the movie was this week?
Erin Brockovich. And if I could say a little description, at least from
Sure.
my point of view, it's basically about this woman who discovers some not so good things with a water company. And and she screws them in a good
Why
way.
are you introducing it in a sultry lake way?
Because I'm trying to not give it away.
Be dramatic. You're trying to add drama.
Yeah, and
I love it.
honestly, that's why I like it so much. One, because it's environmental. Two, because it's
Yeah.
drama in a sense.
Yeah.
Like I feel like law is drama, so it was
Yeah.
just drama, and I loved it.
Well, our movie is from the 2000s, so this is actually at 2000. It was obviously filmed in 1999, 98, as they were putting it together. But it was released in the 2000s in 2000. You can watch this movie on Netflix right now until April 30th. And then once it's gone off there, you're gonna have to rent it off of YouTube or Amazon Prime. But right now it's on Netflix, so if you have a subscription, head over there and give it a watch. We'll pause. Okay, we're back.
We'll
All
watch
right.
it.
As you can see, I'm kind of dressed like Han Solo today. That was unintentional. I've been very self-conscious all day once I realized it. So, we're just gonna go with it. It's a Han Solo season, apparently. It has nothing to do with this movie though. But our official synopsis is Erin Brockovich is a biographical drama based on a true story about a struggling single mother who lands a job as a legal assistant and uncovers a massive cover-up leading to a lawsuit against Pacific Gas and Electric, or we're going to be calling them all this episode PG&E, for contaminating the water in Hinkley, California with carcinogenic hexavalent chromium. Sounds gross. It is written by Susanna Grant, who is known for, if you've ever seen Catch and Release, The Fifth Wave, and Unbelievable. She also wrote Ever After, a Cinderella story, which I love, Pocahontas 2, 28 Days, one of my mom's favorites, In Her Shoes, and Charlotte's Web.
She wrote
It,
The Fifth Wave. I love that movie, and I read the book.
oh, there you go. I haven't seen that. That's the only one in that list that I didn't know what it was. So,
It's pretty
um,
good. It's pretty
okay. Well, maybe you'll start to see some similarities. It's directed by Steven Soderbergh, who also directed things like Behind the Candelabra, Traffic, and Sex, Lies, and Videotape. He also directed Ocean's 11, 12, 13, and Magic Mike, for those of you who've seen those. I thought that was kind
good.
of like a weird collection of movies, but
Yeah,
yeah, kind of rounds it out, I guess.
that's very random, but Ocean's 11 is good. I haven't seen the others, but I've seen Ocean's 11. So,
So, without giving this movie away, Hannah, like what else did you think about it? I know you kind of gave your little
my little drama. Yeah.
drama.
Okay, so I loved it. First and foremost, I loved it. It was so good to the point where I watched it twice.
Okay,
Twice. Which
that's
is,
good.
yeah, which is pretty crazy for me. Which is pretty
Okay.
crazy for me because I don't really like rewatching movies too much.
Okay.
I mean, it depends actually. That's kind of a lie. I do be rewatching a lot of
So,
movies.
so,
But
so
but this is the type of movie, who knows, I might watch it tonight. We don't know. This
a
is the
third
type of
time?
yeah, this is the type of movie I will now have an obsession with and
Okay.
excessively watch it until it's off Netflix.
Okay. So you're
So,
gonna until you've gotten Erin Brockovich into your soul.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is also, I think I told you a little bit about this during the week. This is the first movie where my favorite character is a man.
I can't believe it. I can't even believe it. I feel like we're gonna disagree about this too, but I can't even believe it. So, well, as we always do, let's rewind. So when we start, there's a screen that tells us this is based on a true story. Okay, so we open on Erin Brockovich in a job interview at a doctor's office that confirms with her that she has no medical training. And she says that while that's true, she does have kids and she's seen it all. She also tells him that she's a fast learner and always wanted to go to medical school. Then she talks about that once she wanted to be a geologist. And I don't really know where she was going with that, but she did not get the job. It was not a good situation.
His reaction to that was so funny. He was like, a
He's like,
geologist?
yeah, like what does that have to do with medical school? Um, and then she's leaving the interview. She goes out to her car to find a parking ticket. She breaks a nail on the door handle, gets in the car, crosses the intersection, and gets T-boned by a Porsche who ran a red light. Talk about bad luck. Like, that sucked.
And of all
Well,
things, a Porsche too. That's,
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's
Erin Brockovich is played by Julia Roberts, who
Julia
Hannah's now
Roberts.
obsessed with after watching Pretty Woman. She's known for her role in Pretty Woman, Closer, uh, August Osage County, My Best Friend's Wedding, which I love that one. She's also known for Mystic Pizza, which is one of her early ones. A lot of people didn't like that movie. She's known for Steel Magnolias, which is a classic. It's a must watch. We also saw her in Hook. So if you want to go back and listen to that episode, we'll talk about her a little bit in Hook. She was also in The Player, The Pelican Brief, which is a movie that's on our list. Stepmom, also on our list. Notting Hill and Runaway Bride, also on our list. The Mexican, also good movies. America's Sweethearts, Mona Lisa Smile, that's one of my favorites. Charlotte's Web, so she was in the movie that was written by the same writer. Charlie Wilson's War, Valentine's Day, Eat, Pray, Love, which is a great movie and book, Larry Crown, and Mirror Mirror. So next we see Ed Masry coming into his law office for the morning. His 9 a.m. appointment is already ready and waiting in his office, and it is Erin Brockovich in a neck brace. And I just have to say, I do really love her teal dress, and like she has this blue sweater with all this beading on it in this, and I thought that was really cute. So I was like thinking about
Yeah.
Googling where the heck I can find a sweater like that, or I'm gonna have to start beading to
Oh my.
uh to make one for myself.
Her
But Ed
outfits were
tells,
so cute the entire movie. Her little like leopard print vibe that she had going on.
but that shirt was see-through. She was just like in this leopard print vibe, Hannah, that she just like it was completely sheer with just her black bra. And you're like, yeah,
Oh.
it's great. That's work appropriate.
Yeah, and her like one when she initially went in not for the case, but I think when she went in to go harass Ed to get a job, basically, when she
Yeah,
was like in just nearly a leopard print bra.
yeah.
Like, I loved it though. I thought that was cute,
Her
but yeah, I
bra was
kind of get what
always
you're saying.
showing. Yeah, in this movie. I think she showed more bra in this movie than she did in Pretty Woman as a hooker.
Yeah, that's
So,
actually such a good point. I mean,
to
it
be
was
fair,
stylish, very club attire though.
that
Like I
wasn't,
do.
that was never stylish. No. I just want to be clear about that. That was never stylish. Maybe in Mean Girls when they like cut the holes in their shirts or something.
Oh my
Um,
God, I love Mean Girls.
but no, your bra out was never a stylish thing. So,
Okay, so
but
that
I
was
think
just a personal choice.
that was like the vibe. I think that they were trying to give her that she was kind of deemed or like looked down upon because of being a single mom. Because, well, we'll kind of get into it. But so anyway, Ed tells Erin that they're going to make the guy who hit her pay for it. Okay. And so before we go on, though, Ed Masry is played by Albert Finney. He's played roles like Ebenezer Scrooge in Scrooge. He was also in Big Fish. I don't know if you've seen the movie Big Fish. It came out a couple years later. Um, Okay, before you were born. It was a really great movie from 2003. He also played Hercule Poirot in Murder on the Orient Express. I love any Poirot, anything, honestly, any of the mysteries with Poirot. He also played Daddy Warbucks in Annie. He's also in The Corpse Bride. So he does voicing in that. And then he's in The Bourne Ultimatum and The Bourne Legacy and Skyfall.
Oh,
So Ed says, why don't you tell me what happened? And then we see Erin in the courtroom retelling her story. She says she was pulling out and the guy came out of nowhere, speeding and hit her. She says they took like bone from her hip and put it into her neck, and that she didn't have insurance and that she's about $17,000 in debt. Didn't want to be on paying coach because she has three kids. Matthew is 8, Katie is almost 6, and Beth is 9 months. Now, during cross-examination, it comes out that she has two ex-husbands and that the emergency doctor in a Jaguar was a good, or not a Porsche, sorry, it was a Jaguar, was a good meal ticket. So she cracks under the pressure and tells him that a-hole smashed my effing neck, and that's what lost the case. Which, like, yeah, I feel bad because her blood boiled so much that she just like couldn't hold her composure, which is just really sad because like you'd think that you'd just keep to the story and you would have been fine.
Yeah.
But um, especially and the other thing is when she's explaining it, she just kept saying, I was pulling out gently, and like this guy came racing out of nowhere. She should have said he ran a red light. Like she didn't even say that he ran a red light and T-boned her.
Oh,
It's not just like that he took off out of nowhere and she was driving safely. It was like, no, you actually like illegally went through an intersection. I don't know.
it
Maybe
was
that just
crazy.
wasn't. It was really weird.
It was. The one thing I thought was crazy, or like the whole thing was crazy, but the main thing I thought was crazy was that she was $17,000 in debt, and in today's world, that would be like 70,000. I was
Yeah,
like,
it would
girl,
take a
like,
lot more money to just
yeah,
the test alone to like see where what they'd have to do and check her to make sure she's okay and hasn't had a head injury in the CT scan, and that would be like 10,000 by itself. So
yeah.
with all those things. Or if she had to, go in an ambulance, that's 6 grand by itself. So yeah, that would add up real quick. I mean, I'm sure it would be like 40,000 in medical debt, but yeah, so Aaron yells at Ed that he promised this was an open and shut case. He tells her to settle down, and she has $74 in the bank, she says, and she cannot afford to settle down. He says, I'm sorry, Aaron. And she tells him, did they teach lawyers to apologize? Because you suck at it. Now she goes home and goes next door to the woman who's watching her kids. The older woman tells her she's moving and can't babysit anymore. But now that Erin has money, she can hire a good babysitter. Erin doesn't want to tell her that she lost the case. She goes to make her kids dinner and she sees a cockroach in the kitchen and she decides they're going out to eat. The kids order, and Erin just gets coffee to save money. She lies to her kids and says that her lawyer took her out to eat to celebrate. Now, I don't know if you knew this, but the waitress in that diner scene is Erin Brockovich, the real Erin Brockovich.
No.
Yeah, so you may, when you do, if you do, go back and watch that movie. You should make sure you check that out. Back
Wait,
at
that's
home,
so cool.
yeah. Back at home, she eats peaches from the can while her kids are asleep. The next morning, she's circling job ads and calling around. She doesn't get anywhere because she doesn't have any experience. And she also tries to get a hold of Ed Masery and cannot. Like, he's not answering the phone, he's not returning her calls. The next day, Ed comes in and trips over a box in his office, spilling his coffee. He sees Erin in the office getting things from one person and taking them to another. And Ed calls Donald over and says, what is she doing here? And Donald says, she works here. Ed calls her and she says she left messages and he never called her back. He says he didn't know. And she says she doesn't need his lies. She needs a paycheck. But when you've spent the past 6 years raising babies, it's real hard to get a job, and that pays worth a damn. Erin calls out Brenda, who is eavesdropping. Now, Brenda is Ed's secretary, and she is played by Conchetta Farrell, who is known for her role in Network, Edward Scissorhands, Mystic Pizza as well. So they were in that movie together. But more importantly, she's most known for her role in Two and a Half Men. And she's honestly, if you look at her IMDb, she's like in everything. She's like in episodes of every single major show. And then unfortunately, she passed away in 2020. Probably. I mean, I didn't Google what it was, but as we all know, COVID was going around in 2020. So that could have been a contributing factor. No,
Sad.
Ed tells Erin that they have a full staff and she calls BS because if they had have a full staff, they'd be able to return a client's phone call. She says she's smart, hardworking, and will do anything, and she will not leave without a job. And then she says to him quietly, don't make me beg. If it doesn't work out here, fire me. And he agrees and he says, fine, no benefits.
I thought that was funny that he like begrudgingly agreed and was like,
Yeah.
no benefits. Fine.
It's just like no benefits. Well, the next day she shows up for work and gets a tour, and then later asks for an advance on her paycheck from the weekend, and Ed gives her $100. She goes to pick up her kids from the babysitter, like daycare place, and then takes them home, puts them to bed. When outside, a motorcycle revs its engine. She yells at the neighbor for making all that noise. He says he's introducing themselves to the neighborhood, I guess. And she says, well, I'm the neighbors. There, we're introduced, so shut the F up. And George introduces himself and asks to take her out as an apology and asks for her number. She says, which number do you want, George? He says, how many numbers you got? And she says, oh, I got numbers coming out my ears. For instance, 10. And he says, 10? And she's like, yeah, that's how many months old my baby girl is. And he's like, you got a little girl? And she's like, yeah, yeah, sexy, huh? How about this for number 6? That's how old my other daughter is. 8 is the age of my son. 2 is how many times I've been married and divorced. 16 is the number of dollars I have in my bank account. 8503943. That's my phone number. And with all the numbers I gave you, I'm guessing the number of times you're going to, 0 is the number of times you're going to call it. She shuts the door in his face and he walks away and pretends to die on the front lawn, which I never noticed before that he like pretends to die. Like I never really caught that. I thought that was really clever and funny.
Yeah, I caught that the second time and I thought that was kind of cute. I thought that was funny and sweet.
Well, George is played by Aaron Eckert, who's known for his roles in The Dark Knight, Thank You for Smoking, The Core, and Rabbit Hole. He was also in No Reservations, The Rum Diary, and Deep Water. Well, the next day at work, Ed walks in while Erin is getting off the phone and hands her a box, and he says he has to open a file. Real estate thing, pro bono. Asks, where's Anna? And Erin says she's out to lunch with the girls. And Ed realizes, like, you're a girl. Why aren't you with them? And Erin says, she's not the right kind. Ed suggests that maybe it's her outfits, and Erin says she thinks she looks nice. And as long as she has one ass instead of two, she'll wear what she wants. Then she tells Ed to rethink his ties.
That is so fair. I mean, I
And
will say,
her
I feel
outfits
like
were not appropriate for work.
they were very cute, but yeah, like yeah, having your bra out is a bit crazy, but I love them. Like they're so cute, but yeah, no. And he was very respectful about it, I feel. Like he wasn't like, you're a bad word or anything like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's an attorney. He's not going to get sued for saying something wrong to her. He's just
Yeah.
trying to give her unsolicited advice, though, and she shot it down, which was nice.
Yeah.
In looking through the files, she's really confused on why there are medical records in her real estate files. And like nobody wants to really help her with that. Well, later she goes to pick up her kids from the babysitter and no one is home there. She races home and they're not there either. Then she hears her kids' voices coming from the new neighbor's backyard and finds them all eating dinner with George. The babysitter had dropped them off an hour before and didn't notify her, which is insane. Later, the kids are playing cards with George, and Erin puts Beth to bed, and then she sends the kids to bed and says she doesn't know what she's going to do about childcare since the lady just dumped her kids off with no warning. George offers to watch them. He likes the kids and doesn't have a job, so he only works when he needs to, is how he explains it to her. He works construction, he works when he needs to, he saves up money, and then he doesn't spend a lot, so he doesn't have to work all the time. He talks her into letting him babysit them. Later in bed, she's reviewing more documents about the case file about PG&E offering to pay for their house and then reviews medical records that were included. And she's like trying to figure it all out. So the next day, she goes into Ed's office and asks to investigate the pro bono like further, figure out more information. He agrees because he's on the phone, doesn't care, just trying to get her out of the office. Erin drives out to Hinkley to talk to the Jensens about their case, and she meets Donna Jensen and asks more questions and finds that Donna didn't put the house up for sale. PG&E just like submitted an offer to her, and she's confused about why the medical problems are all together with that paperwork. And she says she keeps it all together because PG&E paid for the doctor's visit. They paid for a checkup for the whole family. They never saw a bill. And she said they did it because of the chromium. And that's what kicked the whole thing off. Well, before we go further, Donna Jensen is played by Marge Helgenberger, who's known for her role. Like a lot of people will know her from CSI. She was Catherine Willows on CSI. She's also in a movie called Species and the movie In Good Company. She's also in A Dog's Journey and All Rise.
She's in A Dog's Journey?
She is.
Oh my God, I love sad dog movies.
No, I will not. You can't make me. I won't do it. My boyfriend tried to get me, I think, to watch that movie, and I was just like not having it. Nope.
So
So,
good. It's so
no,
good.
I can't watch animal movies. Can barely watch animal commercials. I cried during like the Subaru commercial. There's like this one particular Subaru commercial where these two like golden retrievers or something are dropping off their kid to school in a Subaru. So like they're the dog parents and they're dropping off their little puppy to school. And I don't
Oh,
have kids, but I was like bawling. I was like, the dogs are like, if it was people and kids, I would not cry. But because it was dogs, I was like crying. And every time that commercial came on during back to school season, I was just like, this is killing me. So
oh.
that's why. That's why. So we won't be watching a lot of animal movies. So if you're wondering where are all the animal movies, we won't watch very many of them because I'm very limited on what I can watch that has animals in it.
Oh my God.
Well, Erin went to UCLA the next day to meet with Professor Frankel about the chromium. He asked which type of chromium. Straight up chromium does all kinds of good things for your body. Chrome 3 is benign, and Chrome 6, hexavalent chromium, can be very, very harmful. Repeated exposure to toxic levels can have like chronic headaches, nosebleeds, heart failure, liver failure, bone to organ deterioration, plus cancer. Highly toxic and it's carcinogenic. Plus, what's even worse is it gets into your DNA and you can pass it along to your kids. So if you don't have like problems, or maybe even if you do have problems and you later conceive, you can actually pass it along to any children you have in the future, which is just
That's
insane. So what's
so
it
sad.
used for? She asks. And he says it's a rust inhibitor. The facilities run piston engines and you have to run water through them to keep it cool. And the Chrome 6 helps prevent rust from that water. So Erin asks how they can find out which type was used. And so he tells her to visit the county water board, but don't tell them what she's looking for. So at the water board, Erin, of course, flirts with the desk clerk to get access to the records. She signs in as Erin Patty Brockovich and begins to go through the records. She stays there late and goes through everything, eventually finding a cleanup and abatement order from 1960, and she makes a copy. The document says hexavalent chromium polluted the groundwater, plume of chromium, and it's 1 mile north of Hinkley. The next day, Erin goes into the office and they've moved her stuff into a box from her desk for her. She was fired for disappearing for days at a time. He says, so she goes to Ed, she's like, oh, well, Ed knows where I was. And they're like, well, go talk to Ed. He fired you. And he says it's not a good fit because she just leaves. So she left the office. She gets home and George is fixing the kitchen sink and she's just mad. She tells George that she got fired. She sulks in her bedroom and he consoles her. And she says, I was Miss Wichita for Christ's sake. And she said she thought that it meant that she was going to do something important with her life and that she was someone. And of course, George was like, you're someone to me. And then that wins her over. So after they hook up, she talks about her time as Miss Wichita and jokes that she was going to work on hunger and world peace in the 1 year that she was Miss Wichita. But with all the grocery store openings and business openings, she really only had like a couple days to do that. So that didn't happen. Next day, her doorbell rings, and it's not Ed McMahon, and instead it's Ed Mazary. He says he got a call from Dr. Frankel at UCLA to tell her that the legal limit is 0.05 parts per, I think it was parts per million or something like that. And at 0.58, it could be responsible for cancer. Well, later Ed apologizes and at her door and assumed she was off having fun. He asks what all of that is about. She says if he wants to know, he has to hire her back. She has a ton of bills to pay. She wants her job, plus a raise, plus benefits, which he has to give into. So
And
she
she
tells
got it.
Yeah, so she says that PG&E, they want to buy the house to put, they told Donna that they want to buy the house to put an off-ramp from a freeway that's being built to access the plant. Meanwhile, she and her husband have both been sick. PG&E told the community about how the chromium 3, not 6, and how good it is when all the time they've been using the chromium 6. She says she made a copy of the document. So Erin and Ed negotiate that 10% raise in her benefits, and she shows him the document. What makes you think you can just walk in there and find what we need? Is what Ed asks her. And she says, they're called boobs, Ed.
I
So
loved that. I mean, and
she's
quite
like,
literally, like in that
there.
case.
It was good for her to use. So the next day she's there with her kids as Scott and the kid at the water board is told like to get her to leave. He's like on the phone and he's being told to get her to leave and the kids leave. But she holds her ground. She's not leaving. So Ed later sends a stack of info to PG&E Claims Department to kind of stimulate, the discussion with them. And later, Erin is back at Donna's house to tell her that they had an on-site monitoring well on the PG&E property, and the hexavalent chromium is toxic, that it's in the water supply. Donna said that the guys from PG&E had told her that the water was okay, and Erin says the toxicologist gave her a list of problems, and everything they have is on that list. And Donna was like, "That's not what the doctor said. He said that they were completely unrelated." And Erin points out that the doctor is one that PG&E paid for. So Donna
Which
sees her
is
kid
so
in the
scary.
pool as they're having this discussion and makes them get out immediately, realizing it's in the water.
When I
So
watched
Ed,
it the second time, that really hit because I realized how horrifying that'd be if you realize your water's poisonous and your children are in it. That's so scary.
yeah, I mean, it's insane. Ed says PG&E sent a person to meet with them, so they go to meet him, and it's a young kid, Mr. Foyle. He offers the Jensens $250,000, and Ed says it doesn't even come close to what they spent on doctors. Ed points out that the readings from the wells and the proven exposure to the hexavalent chromium, Mr. Foyle says 250,000 is all he's authorized to offer. And Ed says, "We'll tell your client, like we'll tell our client, but we doubt that they'll take it." And then he says, "Mr. Mazary, before you go off on some crusade, you might want to remember who it is you're dealing with here. PG&E is a $28 billion corporation." And Ed Mazary was like sarcastically like, "28 billion? I didn't know it was that much. Wow." And he walks out, 28 billion. Holy cow. Which initially when I saw it, I was like thinking 28 billion, like we could get 28 billion from them. Why wouldn't, he was just being like sarcastic, but I think it could have been easily like, wow, they have a lot of money that we can easily get from them now because we have a
Yeah,
smoking gun. But
exactly.
that's not how it was played, so that's okay. Well, David Foyle, so that little tiny, like, weakling attorney that they initially sent, is played by TJ Tyne, who's known for his roles in What Women Want, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Ghost World, and most importantly to me, he is King of the Lab in Bones as Jack Hodgins. So, anybody who watched Bones would recognize him. Now, Ed says that they sent a mail clerk to waste their time. And then later, Erin is still in the office late at night when Tom and Mandy Robinson, former Jensen neighbors, drop by. PG&E had bought their house last year. They show her the chickens who were born with deformities when they lived there. Additionally, they tell Erin and about Mandy having 5 miscarriages and wondered if that was a chromium as well, which is just like so incredibly sad.
So
Later,
sad.
Erin goes home with her oldest son and is frustrated. He's like frustrated she's not as home as much anymore. She tries to reason with him that it's important. Now, I do want to point out that her son Matthew is played by Scotty Leavenworth. He has been in things like Life is a House, The Green Mile, and Donnie Darko, but most elder millennials, people my age, may recognize him from his role in Seventh Heaven, where he played Ruthie's boyfriend, Peter. So he's in a 90s show. Later, Ed and Erin are sitting down with the Jensens and the Robinsons. Mr. Jensen said he didn't understand why they bothered to say anything about it at all. Ed tells him that it was to establish the statute of limitations since the plaintiffs only have 1 year from the time that they found out about the problem to file suit. So PG&E figured they could ride it out without like the whole year without getting sued. So Ed says they're not suing though. They're going to look for compensation. So Ed says his fee is about 40% of whatever you get awarded. Um, and Erin tells the group that Ed doesn't make anything if they don't win. Plus, he's out all the costs, so he's taking a chance too. And ended up like everybody signs on board with him. Miss Jensen offers everyone coffee and bundt cake. Ed tries to leave, but Erin makes him stay for the hospitality, which goes a long way with these people. Um,
Oh.
but like I'm watching this scene and I'm like, did you use bottled water for that coffee and that bundt cake?
Yeah, I didn't even.
Don't I wouldn't like I get that you want to be hospitable and you want to offer things, but I would not be drinking and eating things in your home that are coming from this water supply.
Water supply that gives
So,
cancer
right.
and like
I
everything
was
else. But
like, they didn't even really address that. But Aaron goes to visit others, including a cow farmer, later. He said that they all ended up, like, his whole family ended up with rashes over the years and they couldn't get rid of them. They would come back and stay and never go away. Another family, his wife had gastrointestinal cancer. Aaron tries to stop over to another family that wasn't interested in getting involved. And then she stopped by another family. Their daughter, Annabelle Daniels, has cancer and is very, very sick. Each night, Erin is driving home really late and spending all day doing interviews with people. The next day, she tries talking Ed into taking on all these new clients, and he's concerned about the scope and the size of the case against PG&E. She gives him the sob story of Annabelle and tries to talk him into taking the case. He says these cases can cost like $100,000 a month, and PG&E could bury them in paperwork for the next 15 years. Erin tells him she's up to 11 families so far. She found a toxic well test from 1967. And he's like, that's a whole different ballgame. That's a much bigger deal. And she's like, kind of like David and what's his name? And he says, it's kind of like David and what's his name's whole effing family. He's like, okay, well, here's the deal. If and only if you find all the evidence to back this up, I'll do it. I'll take it on. And she says, you're doing the right thing, Mr. Masery. And he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Remind me of that when I'm filing for bankruptcy. And then she tries to negotiate a raise and a cell phone. And he's like, I don't believe this, and shuts the door on her.
she's so funny. She's like so
She,
devious. She was
well,
trying
she's
to get
trying
that
to get what
back.
she needs. She's trying to get
Yep.
her worth. So she later sneaks in to get water samples from a ditch, from the pool with a dead frog. She like bags the dead frog even for testing. And then from a well itself on the Hinkley plant property. She was touching all this water. Just pointing out, no gloves,
She's
just
getting it.
touching the water.
She's
Well,
brave.
back at home, the kids are playing with George as Erin is sitting at the table with all of her notes when she receives a threatening call, threatening her and her kids from her sniffing around the waterboard. And the person calls her Erin Patty Brockovich.
That
Signal,
part
signal.
freaked me out. That
But
part
like
freaked
you
me
can
out.
tell it's where it's coming from because she only put Patty on the waterboard thing, so that'll come back up later. Well, George tries to talk her out of this job. Um, So that's hard. But Erin chews later she puts it off. She's like, "No, I've got to do this. This is important." And so later she goes to the waterboard and she's like chewing out the kid at the waterboard, Scott. He is obviously the leak to PG&E about her work there and threatening her, and he's been sitting on this all these documents. So she's like, "How do you sleep at night?" Later that night, Erin, which I gotta go back for 1 second, but like the how do you sleep at night always reminds me of the You've Got Mail, like, oh, I take these like pills and I'm out in like 15 minutes, from You've Got Mail. She's like, oh, no big deal. She walks up, like, how do you sleep at night? Anyway, so in my brain, that's what it does every time. So if you didn't watch You've Got Mail, go back and watch that one and then listen to
Yeah.
our pod on that one because it always reminds me. And then it will remind you as well. Um, so later that night, Erin calls George in the middle of the night as she's trying to drive home, and he tells her about Beth talking for the first time. She missed her first word, which is just like incredibly sad for her as a mom. She's like missing all the important things and spending time with her kids. But this is important. The work that she's doing is important. So she keeps like pushing forward. Well, 9 months later, we see Erin and Ed giving out flyers at a community event about this case. Can you believe this? Like 9 months have passed and they're still working on it.
That's
When it,
crazy. When I saw that, I was like, 9 months? Like, you guys are still getting evidence? And I don't know. That was
yeah.
crazy.
And at the barbecue, a creepy guy comes up to Erin. George is frustrated that he and the kids want to go. They don't want to be there anymore. They're at a work event essentially for her. And she's about to leave when Mrs. Johnson brings over a person that works at PG&E and she wants to get more information. So she asks George to take the kids home and she'll get a ride with Ed. Now George sees all these motorcycles drive by in the distance and you can tell he misses it. Later, Erin is explaining everything to Ed about the cooling towers that are using the hex chrome 6 and that they dump the excess water into the ponds, but they didn't line the ponds. And then the ponds were then covered over with dirt, but you can tell that they're still there. If you dig down like an inch, you can see the green. So the plume then underground came down into Hinkley, and it's been like 14 years of this hex chrome leaking into the groundwater.
So
It's insane.
gross.
Now, Ed isn't sure that they can actually pull this off. It's 411 plaintiffs at this point with 162 declarations. Everything is taking time, manpower, and he's been making inquiries to help, which Erin just is like brushing off. But Ed says he needs a link to PG&E Hinkley to corporate to get those punitive damages. He says if they can do that, then they can file the lawsuit. PG&E will then file a demurrer attacking like everything. And this is one where the judge then gets to make the decision. Well, we find that Mrs. Jensen actually does now have cancer. She has to get rid of her uterus and her breasts. And she asks Erin, if you think like you have no uterus and breasts, are you still technically a woman? And Erin says, sure, you are. Yeah, you're just a happier woman because you don't have to worry about maxi pads and underwire. And Erin
That made
consoles
me
her.
so sad. But,
I
like, that's so
know.
true, though. Like, no period, but that's so
Yeah.
sad.
Well, the judge later says, I have before me a complaint on behalf of the residents of Hinkley, California, who have filed this lawsuit against PG&E for damages, medical expenses, and personal trauma due to the contamination of the groundwater in the area by the defendant. Now, PG&E filed demurrers, and the judge reviewed all the information carefully. He reviewed that the demurrers were denied, and the causes against PG&E were upheld. So PG&E is now going to trial, which is like a big first step in the win. Woo!
Oh, go them. The fact that Erin did all of this on her own, like, from just finding a file, is so impressive. Like, she
It's
took that upon herself
incredible.
to investigate.
Yeah, 400 plaintiffs. That's a lot of
Hmm.
documentation.
A
So
lot of
back at
people
the
to
law
talk
office,
to.
yeah, back at the law office, the PG&E lawyers are shown into Ed's conference room. And because he's like, they're trying to come in and intimidate us, he brings in Donald and Anna into the room to pose as lawyers as well. The PG&E lawyer says that 20 million is more than these people ever dreamed of. And Erin retorts, oh, I see. Now that pisses me off. Now, first of all, since the demurrer, we have more than 400 plaintiffs, and let's be honest, we all know that there are more out there. They may not be the most sophisticated of people, but they do know how to divide, and 20 million isn't shit when you split it between them. Second of all, these people don't dream about being rich. They dream about being able to watch their kids swim in a pool without worrying if they'll have a hysterectomy at the age of 20, like Rosa Diaz, a client of ours, or have their spine deteriorate like Stan Bloom, another client of ours. So before you come back here with another lame ass offer, I want you to think about what your spine is worth, Mr. Walker, or what you might expect someone to pay for you and your uterus, Miss Sanchez. Then you take out your calculator and you multiply that number by 100. Anything less than that would be a waste of our time. And then Miss Sanchez, the PG&E lawyer, goes to take a drink and Erin adds, by the way, we had that water brought in special for you folks. Came in from the well from Hinkley. And she sets the glass down.
Yeah, she was not
The
about to do that. I did
the
some
meeting
math on
was
like their
over.
initial offer, and that's only thought or not only, that's only 50,000 though per person if it were like
Yeah.
five,
It's
400. And
nothing.
that's nothing for all the damages. And that's less than what people were getting offers for initially. I feel like that's such a disrespectful offer to even put out.
Absolutely. So Miss Sanchez is played by Gina Galago, who was in Mr. Deeds, Beverly Hills Chihuahua, and Minority Report. She was also in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and The Bold and the Beautiful. When Erin gets home, George goes inside. He's packed. He said he bought her earrings that he was going to give to her when she did something nice or said something nice, and he still has them 6 months later. He tells her that she needs to find a different job or a different guy. He said there are many guys that wouldn't mind being a maid and get nothing in return. She says she can't leave her job. She finally has respect. He says, what about her kids? And she says she's doing more for her kids right now than she ever has, and one day they'll understand. He said, well, what about me? And kudos to her because what about you is what she says. Because all she's ever done is bend her life around the men and decide what they need. Um, he asks what he needs to do to prove like he's not like any of those other men, and she says stay. And he said, well, what for? And since she can afford daycare, she doesn't need him, and he leaves.
I'm sad. That made me so sad. And honestly, I mean, I've never personally been in George's situation, given the men I've dated, but I felt so sorry for him. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I
Yeah,
felt really bad for him because he loved her so much, and it was like that man loved her, and he
yeah.
actively was doing a lot for her, and she was just like, nah. Which I will say, like, independent baddie moment, go you, girl. But also, I felt bad for him. But
Yeah, it was kind of a complicated situation. Is this the guy? Well, we'll talk about it later. But like, yeah, it was a complicated situation because like she had something important to do. It would not have gotten done if she hadn't sacrificed in order
yeah,
to get it done. So
that's true.
while she could have like at least recognized that he needed more out of their relationship than just being the maid while she worked all the time, he could have also recognized that what she was doing had a purpose. And
Mhm.
maybe if she had, I don't know what their communication was like, about trying to make sure that he understood his role in this process before the end of the movie, um, before
Yeah.
the end of the situation, I guess, in life. But um, if she had like maybe been more communicative with him, maybe he would have been more understanding. But also, like I've been in the situation where I felt like where I've worked really hard and the person I was with like has to take a little bit of a back seat because I'm trying to build my career and I'm trying to like do something that I feel is really important. And um it's kind of bullcrap when a guy is like, I doesn't want to take a back seat. It's like women have been taking a back seat for centuries and
Yeah.
you can't go like maybe a year.
Yeah. That's
Like,
so true. That's
do
fair.
you want me to take a back seat for like 65 years, but 1 year you can't do? Really? So
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm torn between that whole situation just from personal experience, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the next day, Erin takes the kids to meet with Pamela Duncan. She's the one that's been the holdout. She's scared to go through with all of it, all over again and not have it come out right. Erin says it doesn't matter if they win, lose, or draw. They need to stand up in court for themselves and tell people that they were lied to. Like they need to stand up for themselves. And Pamela said that her kids would get nosebleeds all the time, and then she would go to the hospital, and social services would be called on her because of it. They had just assumed that it was like an abusive situation. Now,
Mhm.
Erin stops by the office and sees that Ed is meeting with another lawyer, Kurt Potter. Ed introduces Erin. He makes comments about the way that she looks. Like he was like, "Oh, I can see why she's like so effective." I didn't like that. And then he pays her compliments on the work done so far. And then he leaves. Now Ed gives her a check. He has a toxic he tells him that Potter has toxic tort experience, but Erin is mad that she did all the work and now they're having to split this all up.
Which is
Kurt,
fair. I'd be mad too.
right? Kurt Potter is played by Peter Coyote, who's known for his role in E.T. He plays the dad in A Walk to Remember. He's in Bitter Moon, and he's also in Patch Adams. He also recently narrated the American Revolutionary documentary, or sorry, American Revolution documentary. So, yeah, that I was like raving about earlier. So, Back at home, she sees George drive away, but the delivery boy drops off a package of a $5,000 check just for Erin and for her to get a nanny and a truck. So she gets a brand new red truck. The next
I
day,
thought that
Erin,
was so cute. When I
yeah,
watched that, I was like, ah, she has a
yay!
car! A nice
Better than the
car!
one that she had before, for sure.
Yeah.
The next day, Aaron and Ed sit down with Kurt Potter and his team. PG&E is requesting a binding arbitration where the decision is made by a judge and it's final. There is no appeal. They have 634 plaintiffs. He said that they need to get them together in groups of 20 to 30 at a time to go before the judge. And PG&E thinks that they're about liable for between 50 to 400 million. The people are expecting a trial. And if they did the trial, though, they would be waiting years. So which happens with a lot of big lawsuits if you've got something like that going in that direction. Now,
Yeah,
Kurt
wasn't it like at least 10 to 15 years? Or like it could be up to 10 to 15 years?
or more,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy.
So Kurt says that this is the only way, so he'll make sure that they understand that. And then Aaron's files come in the door, and Aaron's like, "Those are my files." And Teresa's like, "Yeah, we had them curried over. And listen, good work. They're a great start. We're just gonna have to spend a little time filling in the holes in your research." And she's like, "Excuse me, Teresa, is it? There are no holes in my research." And Teresa's like, "No offense. There are just some things we need that you probably didn't know to ask." Rude.
Yeah,
Aaron
right.
says, "Don't talk to me like I'm an idiot, okay? I might not have a law degree, but I've spent 18 months on this case, and I know more about these plaintiffs than you ever will." And Teresa's like, "Aaron, you don't even have phone numbers for some of them." And Aaron's like, "Well, whose number do you need?" And Teresa's like, "Everyone's. This is a lawsuit. We'll need to be able to contact the plaintiffs." And Aaron's like, "Well, I said, whose number do you need?" And Teresa says, "You don't know 600 plaintiffs' numbers by heart." And Aaron looks at her like unfazed and and so Teresa takes out a file out of the box and says, "Annabelle Daniels." And Erin Brockovich says, "Annabelle Daniels, 714-454-9346, 10 years old, 11 in May, lived on the plume since birth, wanted to be a synchronized swimmer, so she spent every minute she could in the PG&E pool. She had a tumor in her brain stem detected last November, an operation on Thanksgiving, shrunk it with radiation after that. Her parents are Ted and Rita. Ted's got Crohn's disease. Rita has chronic headaches and nausea and underwent a hysterectomy last fall. Ted grew up in Hinkley. His brother Robbie and his wife May and their 5 children, Robbie Jr., Martha, Ed, Rose, and Peter, also lived on the plume. Their number is 454-9554. You want their diseases?" And Teresa's like, "Okay,
Hey.
I think we got off on the wrong foot here." And Aaron says, "That's all you got, lady. 2 wrong feet and fucking ugly shoes."
I love her.
Teresa is played by Bien Cox, who we just saw in. Do you remember where we
Girl, I
just saw?
don't. Oh, wait.
Girl,
Was she in Can't Hard? No, she wasn't in Can't Hardly Wait. Wait, was she?
she was
Uh,
in You've Got Mail as the author that didn't want her book signing at Kathleen's store. She ended up having it at Fox Books. She was
oh,
the
there's
author
no way I would have got that. Only main characters I will be able to
but
connect.
she's also in, she was like, she was like, "Oh, Kathleen, are you still open?" It was like a big scene. Anyway, she's also in The Rebound and 2 Weeks Notice. Well, Aaron and Ed later after this meeting argue about Aaron being rude, and she says, "Excuse me for not going to law school." And Ed says, "Law school? At this point, I'd settle for charm school."
That was one of my favorite scenes. That was so funny, like as he's getting into his car.
Yeah. So Teresa tries to get information from the plaintiffs, but it doesn't get anywhere. No one likes her. Meanwhile, Aaron is giving details to the person putting all this information into their system, and she's sick. Now, I have seen this movie a million times. Um, I had this movie on DVD back in the day. But I didn't put it together until the second time I watched it recently that she got sick because of the water.
I wouldn't wait, was it from
You just see her sick and you kind of just assume, oh, time has passed. Eventually she's going to catch a virus. But that's not actually what happened. She got sick because of the water.
she should have been a plaintiff too.
So,
Everybody
anyways,
was drinking this water.
She's
That's so
homesick.
scary.
And Ted Daniels calls Erin that everyone is changing their minds. There's a concern that's going around the group. Now, Ted Daniels is played by Wade Williams, who's in the movie The Dark Knight Rises, Batman The Dark Knight Returns, Part 1, Gangster Squad, and Ken Park. Now, Kurt is later telling Ed that they need a smoking gun when Erin walks into the office, and she's obviously been left out because she was sick. But she doesn't take it that way. They screwed up, is what Ed tells her, and Erin has to go get the plaintiffs to agree to arbitration. Everybody needs to be on board, all of them. Now, Ed tells her to go home, get well, that the case needs her. Now, Ed and Erin later get the group together to talk about arbitration and try to explain to everyone that they all need to agree. He says it could be 10 years before any of them see money if they go to trial. He says 1978, that's the year of the Love Canal controversy, and they're still waiting for their money. Think about where you're going to be in 15 to 20 years. This is the best shot we've got at getting some money right now. You and I both know that people in this room can't afford to wait. Are you going to make them wait? Now they get almost everyone that was in there to sign off, but they're going to have to go to door to get all the people that didn't show up.
Yeah.
So later, Erin gets George to come back and watch the kids while she completes her mission. She apologizes to him, and he just walks past her and gets settled to take care of the kids. But she
The
goes
fact
door to
that he
door.
just came back, he was like,
Mhm.
it's fine.
Well, he's like, she needs help, and so she's gonna come back and help her.
Loves
But she
her.
goes door to door with Ed, getting the signatures. Back at the hotel room later, Erin is resting, and her son reads the file on Annabelle Daniels and notices that she is the same age as him. Erin explains that she's real sick, and she's been working to try to get her better. And her son asks why her own mom can't help, and Erin explains it's because her mom is real sick too. And then he offers to bring her back some breakfast. I think he's starting to understand a little bit better about like why she's been working so hard and what she's working for.
Yeah, that was such a like I guess the best way to explain that is it was such a genuine scene because like that is terrifying that a child has cancer in her brainstem and she's that young.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So she
Sad.
continues to go door to door, even stopping at Pamela's, who's the one who's been riling everybody up, thinking that they were conned because now they're doing arbitration instead of the trial. And Pamela Duncan lets her in, to talk. Pamela Duncan is played by Cherry Jones, who's in Ocean's 12, The Village, Signs, and The Perfect Storm. She was also in The Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood.
I've heard of that.
Now, Erin later stops by the local bar and gets the bartender to sign and orders a coffee. Like, she hasn't learned yet. Like, stop drinking the water. The
Literally.
creepy guy stops over by her. He was watching her at the barbecue and the town meeting. He stops her from leaving and says, would it be important to tell you that when I worked at the Hinkley plant, I destroyed documents? So she runs to her car to try to call Ed. She finds a payphone and calls him. Ed tells her to go back in and see if he'll make a declaration. He tells her that she's good at talking to people into things. Like, good reminder. She goes back in and talks to the guy, Charles Embry. He says his cousin passed away yesterday at 41. He had no colon, tumors, his kidneys had been eaten away. He was responsible for cleaning the cooling towers with just a doctor's mask. The only thing they gave him was just a doctor's mask over his face, and it would be soaked in red from all the nosebleeds. He said
So
he worked
scary.
with the compressor himself, and he was asked to shred documents. He said there were memos and about the holding ponds readings and test wells that he wasn't a good employee and didn't destroy those documents. She was like, yes. Charles Embry is played by Tracy Walter, who's known for his role in Batman, Conan the Destroyer, Repo Man, and City Slickers, which we'll see later, as Cookie. He's also in Silence of the Lambs. And before we get to that, we will see him in Independence Day, Matilda, and Wild America. He's also in Mighty Joe Young and Drowning Mona. And a bunch of other things, but those are my favorites. Aaron goes in and says that they forgot his birthday. So Potter's birthday, and they got all 634 signatures. They like drop a box on Potter's desk. And they also have the internal PG&E documents saying yes, that the water is contaminated, but it would be better for all involved if it was not discussed with the public. Now Potter asks how she does it, and she lies and says she performed sexual favors, 634 blowjobs in 5 days, and she's tired.
She's
Now
so sassy.
his team is laughing, but it's kind of unclear if he or Teresa really know that it's a joke or not. It's like they kind of just like look shocked more than anything, and the rest of the team is like cracking up, knowing it's like
They're like,
not real.
girl, how did you do that?
Now, later, George and Aaron drive out to Hinkley. She tells George she wants to show him what he helped do. They meet Donna Jensen to tell her because the judge came back with a number, 333 million for the group. Woo-hoo-hoo. Did you do
Yeah.
the math on that?
No, but I can.
Well, 333, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, divided by 634, we're talking still not that much, I feel like. Am I wrong? Maybe I'll have you do the math on that. I might be missing some zeros. But 5 million of that just goes to her family. So actually, you know what?
Yeah.
It's not even per person. It's probably going to be dispersed by
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Which at
If
the
it was
time,
dispersed per family, it would be about like 555,000. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I thought. And I was like,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like enough. But
No, I
5
agree.
million to her family alone, which at the time was enough. Now, I'm just going to point out, I think that one person with cancer can ring up like easily $1 million in medical debt right now. Like depending
Yeah.
on your cancer, depending on how many scans and everything that you need. But I mean, you ring up a lot of money in medical debt now. So obviously back then, 5 million would have protected her, her husband, and her two daughters and her daughter. Because the issue is it goes into your DNA. So like her daughter's
Mhm.
kids will also have potentially have problems. So
Which
who
is
the
so
heck knows?
messed up.
I know. Well, later we see Mazarine and Vito as a larger office. Erin has her own office. She starts working on the next case, similar to Hinkley, but larger.
Mhm. I
Ed
love that.
signs for a check and takes it to Erin, says that it's her bonus check, but it's not what they had discussed. And Erin gets mad and goes off on him. And then he gives her the check, which is for $2 million just for her. And he says he decided that the figure she proposed was inappropriate, so he increased it. And she's silent. He says, do they teach beauty queens how to apologize? Because you suck at it.
Oh my God, the little like wrap up. It's like
Yeah.
so cool.
On the screen, we see that the settlement awarded to the plaintiffs in Hinkley versus PG&E was the largest in a direct action lawsuit in U.S. history, still is to this day. PG&E claims that they stopped using hexchrome 6, and Ed and Aaron have 7 other cases against them, including Kettleman Hills, California. So that is the end. What did I miss?
Oh my, it's so good. I love like rewatching the movie through the podcast. It's really cool. You know what I mean? Okay, first off, just want to say the waterboard building looked like a house. Like, what? Did you notice that too?
I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
I did not like it. I thought it was kind of
It's
ugly.
whatever building it needed to be at the time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Let's see. I thought Erin looking for a job, just that whole thing was really sad. And I feel like that's kind of an accurate representation of like our job market now. Because I know we have a really bad job market now. So it made me feel bad for like any single parents going through that. I don't know. I felt sympathy for that. I was like, that's really sad. And okay, this is something that irked me a little bit about her. I must say.
Okay.
I
Uh-oh.
so like I loved her in the way she's like independent baddie doing her thing. But I did not like that she kept throwing it in everybody's face that she's a single mother. Like that irked me. Because as someone like well, no, my parents were divorced, so I guess I didn't grow up with a single mother. But I don't know, I feel like that it was a little bit much, like especially in her court case when she got T-boned by the
Yeah.
Jaguar. I understand like why she brought that up, but I feel like she brought it up in way more detail than was needed, and it almost seemed like she was trying to get sympathy. You know what I
Well, she
mean?
was, I mean, I think that was part of the plan. Like when you go into a case like that, you are trying to get sympathy because you want to win your case. But also that factors into the fact that like she can't just willy-nilly like drop everything. She's a single mom. She's got to be able to afford childcare. She's got to be able to get her kids to and from places. If she's been in a car accident, her car could have damage. She is obviously having damage. She's trying to manage taking care of these kids 24/7 with a neck brace on after having surgery. Like I wonder who even like was watching her kids while she was in the
Yeah,
hospital. Like,
I
you
didn't
know,
put that
I,
in.
it I mean, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, like, yeah, it matters. If you're a single parent, mother, dad, whatever, or maybe you've got foster kids or adopted kids, whatever, that's a lot of work to do that all just by yourself. I mean, I just have a dog, and some days I'm like, I need another person to come take care of this dog because
Yeah.
I can't be in seven places at once, letting him out and being on a conference call or something like
Yeah.
that. So, and I just have it, and that's just a dog. That is not a human being. Although I treat him like one. But like, he, like, you're taking care of something else that has needs and has like things, and you can't just hyper focus on what you need to do.
Yeah.
And and that's why she brought it up. I mean, she brought it up when it was like, okay, you're firing a mom who's supporting three kids. They're
Yeah.
expensive.
See
I
that?
mean,
Okay, that yeah.
raising one is going to cost you $250,000 in the 18 years to get them to adulthood.
What?
So just that was facts. Those are facts and figures from like 10 years ago. So I don't even know what it is now. But at the time, it was $250,000 to get a kid from 0 to 18, like on average.
That's I'm rethinking having children. That's crazy. That's insane.
I know
Okay.
the 90s are changing Hannah so much.
Yeah.
So what was
So
your
what?
rating for this movie?
9.5.
Okay, and who was your favorite character since you
You
were like,
can't
it's a guy?
judge me. You
Is it
can't.
Ed or is it George? Because if it's
It's
Ed, I don't care.
George.
George, I'm throwing you out of here. He was like selfish. He had nothing but time. And he's like, you don't spend enough time with me. It's like, dude, I am not here to like be your servant and your like entertainment. You made a choice. I mean, granted, he did not make the choice to be the single parent. Those aren't his kids. He did make a choice to be the babysitter, and there probably should have been more balance in their relationship, probably more communication. But she needed more money in order to have that kind of support. So like it was what it was. But I think George was a big baby and I didn't like his long hair. So
No, see, like that.
there you go.
I
I was
liked the
like, cut
motorcycle
his
boy.
hair. It
No,
was
like
like
I liked
never
that.
brushed properly. It was like never groomed properly. It was had an ugly red scrunchie. I was like, get rid of your crazy. Like if you're gonna have long hair, like take care of it, make it look nice, whatever. But if you're just gonna have like dry looking hair because you're using man shampoo and it's long, like just come on, man. Maybe that's just me. That's my preference. So
I think
anybody,
we
you
have
can wear
very
your hair
different
however you
types.
want. My hair is dry sometimes too, so I have no right to judge anyone else. I will be honest about that. But I did not like how much of a whiny baby he was sometimes. Cause like he's like, you need to quit your job. And like I've heard that before as a woman who really worked her butt off to have a career and found something like it wasn't the career I intended, but I found something that worked for me at the time and I like pushed to have it and I had to work insane hours to get where I wanted to go. And yes, your partner doesn't always like that, but they also have to understand like if they're doing the same thing, we can do this simultaneously. You can work here, like if you're not taking care of kids or something. But
Mhm.
in his situation, he had no ambitions for a career. He was just like working to make money. She was like, I'm hoping was paying him for childcare. Otherwise, yeah, that sucked and that was just an abuse of power. But
See, that's kind of why I liked him so much because I was under the impression he was just doing this just to do it because he
I
was
mean,
like in love
maybe,
with
but
her.
also she was paying people before. So like she
Yeah,
could have easily been paying him because he worked when he needed money. So like she could have been throwing him, a little bit of money just to help compensate. And in that case, like he has no right to complain about taking care of the kids because that's
yeah,
his job. I mean, granted, it probably was 24/7. Like there was an issue with their relationship. I understand the issue with their relationship, but I'm a little bit biased to not like his attitude towards you need to choose your job or me. Like
yeah,
I'm like job.
yeah.
Bye.
That's fair. That is fair. See,
Like
I don't like that
'cause
either, but a man that like does things for you. I just think we have very different types. Like I just like my men to do things for me.
There you go. There you go. Where I can do stuff for myself, so I don't give a crap about that. That is not my love language. That's what it is. It's your love language. You need acts of service.
I'm
And
a big
I'm
active
like,
service.
I can do that myself, so that's not my love language. Like I appreciate it. I am grateful if somebody's helping me out. Um, I think acts of service falls in for me when I can't be in seven places at once or multiple places at once, and I need somebody to like do the thing that I can't do because I have to be completely doing something else, and there's only so much time in a day. That
That's fine.
is where my love language for acts of service comes in. I'm like, yes, thank you. If you're handling something so I can handle something else, yay. But
That's fair. That
but
is
yeah,
fair.
if a
Okay.
man was like, but Hannah, if a man is like, you need to choose your job, which is essentially you, it's you choosing you or you choosing him. I hope to goodness gracious you're like, get lost, sucker.
Oh no, I would never allow a man to do that. But like,
Yeah.
if I had kids, yeah, watch my kids. Even if they're not yours, watch my kids. Fix my sink. Well, I should probably figure out how to fix the sink by myself. But
Kill the
watch
bugs,
my
kill
kids.
the
I just like that he
cockroaches.
did that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny. No, and I okay. In all honesty, I think it was just because of his style. Because I love a little biker man with long hair. Don't make that. Don't judge me.
I'm 100% judging you. I'm not saying the motorcycle or whatever, but he was just like, oh, Harley Davidson, Harley Davidson. Like, and I know a lot of guys that are like that, so I'm just like, meh. But also, like, okay, cool. You want to spend a lot of money on a bike.
That's true.
That's what you're telling me. You're paying for a brand. Cool.
That's
Um,
funny.
yeah, but which is fair. I mean, the fact that he wanted to have his own life, that's a whole separate issue, but he can't say like, choose me
That I
versus
see.
your job and everything that you're becoming. Like, she was having growth moments, and he was like, I don't want you to change or grow. I want you to, like, just take care of me, and I'll take care of you. And it was like, that's sweet and everything, but also, like, she's having growth moments. You have to let her grow into what she needs to be. And she was like, genuinely, 634 plaintiffs were dying because of their contamination. And she's saving all these people, getting them like to fix the problem, getting them to pay for their medical expenses and bills, like getting stuff back on track. Like, you can't, if someone is going to sacrifice a couple of years so that you can do that, like that couldn't have gotten done unless she had spent all that. It could have taken so much longer if she hadn't sacrificed her time with her children and her time with him in order to do that. So you can't
That's
just
fair.
wait for a single non-parent to come along and care about this thing and put in as much effort. You know, she was the person at the time. So, well,
Yeah. See,
anyway,
maybe I just
let's
like to be like needed by someone. Now I'm starting
you're
to
just
realize
like,
maybe I just want someone to wait on me hand and
it's the
foot and be like,
only love story that I'm like, and you're like, yes. And I'm just like,
watch the
Jason,
kids.
get rid of him. We're
Meanwhile, I
opposite
want a
today.
stay-at-home husband.
Well, let's do the backstory on this movie. So, obviously, this movie was a true story, as we mentioned. Hinkley is actually a small Southern California community in the Mojave Desert. Since the 1950s, the utility company Pacific Gas and Electric has operated a natural gas pumping station there. Until 1966, the company used a chemical called chromium-6 to prevent rust. The toxic
Oh.
chemical eventually seeped into Hinkley's water supply. This is all true. In 1993, Erin Brockovich, a divorced, unemployed single mother, became an activist for clean water after she spoke out against PG&E. So she did this in 1993. I think that's also why this is in our podcast, because these are actual events that happened in the 90s. Now, to this day, Erin Brockovich is a paralegal and environmental activist. She currently has her own company, Brockovich Research and Consulting, and she works with law firms on personal injury and environmental cases. Now, she was worried about coming into contact with the hexavalent chromium contamination in Hinkley, and she did experience health issues, as I said, including a declining white blood cell count and a failing immune system during that time. She believed they were caused by her exposure to the water while investigating, and she has noted that she regularly still checks her blood counts, and they're still monitored, and continues to worry about long-term effects to this day because of how much she came in contact.
Oh my gosh. That's
So isn't that
crazy though.
crazy? Yeah, she could have. I would have just been like, "Oh, I'm sick. I'm adding my name to the plaintiffs list because like this is continuing on." But supposedly PG&E has fixed everything.
Okay.
They put in liners in the overflow ponds. They no longer use hexavalent chromium 6, but it's just like how I yeah, I don't know how much contamination remediation they did. But this was a true story, and continuing to go after PG&E is something that they did do to see what other sites might be contaminated and where other places they cut corners that they shouldn't have cut. So that was
That's
something. And
terrifying.
she's been on a lot of cases since then.
Slay! Oh my God. Wait, she's so cool. I aspire to be her.
Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, she's excellent. She's a baddie for sure. Um,
Oh my God.
I was trying to see, yeah, that is her I was trying to see about her biggest cases, and that was like her big one that really made history.
It's okay. That's so cool though. Ugh, she's so inspirational. And the way the movie was written and directed, I feel like was very, very good. It wasn't boring. It wasn't the type of like this was the type of movie that I did not get bored by in the slightest. I was on my toes, kind of perturbed about the water the entire time.
And I do know that um, she has written about like the effects of glyphosate, which is something that was in the Monsanto case that made the news, Roundup case that made the news a couple of years ago. So she did some consulting there, but she wasn't like a lead activist for that one. But I know that she's written and spoken out about the use of glyphosate as well.
Huh,
Um, and if that triggers some haters, then come at me, bro, because it causes cancer. If you wanna, I didn't understand. Yeah, there's a whole thing. There's a whole thing. And there's like all these people. I just imagine that this was probably the case with the Hinkley too. Like, oh, they didn't do anything. They're just like they've got our best interests at heart. Like, yes, this multi-billion-dollar company cares about you. It's the same thing with Monsanto. It's like, no, like, are you getting paid by them to like be like, oh, they didn't do anything? Like, no, you want to trust them over a big company over a bunch of people with cancer? Like you
yeah, no.
really? Seems a little odd. Seems a little bit odd. So,
Yeah.
anyway, any last minute thoughts about Erin Brockovich before we move on to our next movie?
Nope. But just gotta say it. Did like did like George's scrunchie. So I'm gonna be
Who did
inspired.
not like George's red scrunchie? Okay, we can't be friends anymore.
How dare
This
you?
is triggering. This is triggering. Okay, well, I feel like all those scrunchy haired men are gonna come at me now. I'm sorry, your hair is probably much beautiful. If you actually look at his hair is dry and like man shampoo, dry. If you have long hair, care for your hair. Okay. Uh, I have like we lose followers. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I take it back. I don't though. I don't. Okay, so our
We're thinking
next
we're man haters.
I'm not. I'm not though. So let's talk about our next watch because I'm obviously not. Okay, so our
No,
next
I'm saying
watch.
we collectively.
Yeah, no, we are not. I am not. Sometimes you are, but I always like this one character. He just was like, yeah, it pushes my buttons. It's too close to home, I think. It's too close to home and it pushes my buttons. Okay?
Okay,
All
so
right.
I'm like younger you. I'm like going through my like that
I
stage.
was not a man hater, younger me.
No, I'm saying that stage of like liking men like that.
I did not like men like that.
Okay, period.
The
Period.
scrunchie. Okay. And this is why this is why we have a conversation about these things. All right. Listen to Han Solo. The force is with me today. Okay, Hannah. All right. Our next movie is Kindergarten Cop, 1990 movie. So it's right at the beginning of our 1990s. You can catch it on Netflix. Kindergarten Cop follows LAPD detective John Kimball, who is played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, who goes undercover as a kindergarten teacher in Astoria, Oregon, to locate the ex-wife and son of a dangerous drug lord, Cullen Crisp. While navigating classroom chaos, Kimball falls for teacher Joyce Palmery, Penelope Ann Miller, and ultimately protects her from Crisp. So, do you have any questions?
No, I feel like we've talked so much about this movie though, so it's like I'm excited.
Kindergarten?
And no, I feel like we've talked about like this one has been mentioned a lot. I don't know why, but I like strongly recognize this one.
Other than just like that, there are a lot of quotes, like "Who is your daddy and what does he do?" Um,
That's a scary quote.
that's my Arnold Schwarzenegger, Hannah.
No, I
Leave it
like that.
alone.
That's an unnerving
Who is
quote
your
though.
daddy and what? Okay, I can't do Arnold Schwarzenegger. Get to the chopper. I can't. I'm not very good at Arnold Schwarzenegger. Give me somebody else. I can do other impressions. Arnold Schwarzenegger is apparently not one of them. But yeah, you'll recognize the quote, "Who is your daddy and what does he do?" Okay, forget it. I'm gonna stop doing it. You can't say it without doing the voice though. Once you see the movie, then you'll be like, okay, you have to try to do the voice. Um,
I'm writing that down. That's so funny. I'm
who is
gonna
your daddy
trust
and what
next
does he do?
podcast. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
Who
try.
is your daddy and what does he do? Okay. And then we will hear uh my encounter with Arnold Schwarzenegger on our next pod. So stay tuned for that.
Wait, I'm so hyped. Okay. I
So
do
yeah,
actually
so
know who he is too.
are you just like he was the old governor of California? Is that
No, I just know him because isn't he like
uh,
really strong? Like isn't he like
yes.
yeah, that's how I know him.
Bodybuilder? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever seen a movie he's been in? You'd
Let's
know.
no, probably not then. I when when I think of him, I think of The Rock.
That's okay. He paved the way for people like The Rock.
Okay. Okay. So like okay. So I'm like
Like
onto something.
bodybuilding, going into acting. Yeah,
Okay.
he kind of helped shape that path,
Okay.
maybe. If The Rock becomes a governor of a state, maybe that will he'll follow his footsteps there too. Um, where would The Rock be a governor of? I don't think it would be California. Like it wouldn't be funny if he was like the governor of like Iowa or something.
That would be wait, bring him actually I was gonna say bring him to Illinois,
I want
but
to
no.
see that as a movie. The Rock becomes a governor of like Indiana, Iowa, something like that.
Yeah, he's
Um,
in the new Moana movie. I know that. I mean, he played or voiced Maui, but I know
yeah.
he's playing Maui.
Oh, in like the real life one?
Yeah, the live action. Yeah,
Hmm, okay. I did not realize that. That would make sense.
yeah,
Like might as well. Yeah.
right.
Well, any other questions about our upcoming movie or
No, I'm excited
all
though.
right.
Romance and pretending and a detective. Yeah,
You're a
right.
teacher. You're a
Yeah, pretending to
detective
be a
pretending
teacher.
to be a teacher. He's a kindergarten teacher, so he's dealing with small children, the littles, the
Oh,
little
wait,
children.
kind of reminds me of Never Been Kissed, but like she was a
She was a
journalist.
student.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
She
Never
wasn't a
mind.
teacher. And she wasn't working with small children. Kind of reminds me in the way that it's nothing like it at all.
Feel like I say that to the with the most random analogies, and we're always like, "How does this connect?" And I'm like, "My brain just connects it in these strange little ways." This is how I
It's
make sense of
like
things.
it in the fact that someone was pretending to be someone else.
Yeah.
a million movies ever made. It's fine. It's fine. They're the same. They're the same.
They're
Yeah,
the
they're
exact
exactly the
same.
same. Yeah, it's the same vibe and everything. It has nothing, they're
Perfect.
nothing alike whatsoever. It's more about working with small children and being a giant detective dude. I won't spoil it. It's awesome. Well,
Okay.
anyway, that is it. We are calling it for this episode of Millennial Meets Gen Z. Thank you for hanging out with us and watching along. Thank you for following, even though I don't like his long-haired scrunchie, and Hannah thinks that these movies are all the same. Don't forget to follow our podcast and catch each new episode. Please leave a review, and if you're enjoying it, especially if you're not enjoying it, maybe keep that to yourself. Just,
Yeah, don't tell us, please.
Han Solo says keep that to yourself. And share as often as you can with your family and friends. We are just two kids from
Yeah.
different generations with apparently no ability to talk about movies. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook. We'll be posting clips and photos and videos, more things from the episode. So anything you have questions on, hit us up, but be kind and rewind. Catch you next time.
Thanks for listening or watching, everybody.